All right, so another wild couple of weeks here in our house. I know I say that every time, but it's true. The past couple of weeks have been pretty crazy. Matt and I were sick. We both ended up coming down with COVID right at Thanksgiving, so we've spent the past week and a half-ish just trying to recover from that, but that wasn't the only thing that happened over the past couple of weeks. I went down to Dallas for work again, and Matt had a couple of days off, so he decided to hop on a plane with me. We have a bike case, so we could have traveled with a bike, but we decided since it was only a day, well, day and a half-ish trip, it wasn't really worth. Nice. Wasn't really worth packing up the bike and dealing with that hassle. So we decided to just throw some gear in a bag and head down. We decided to stop by Dallas Bike Works first because I forgot my riding socks, which is pretty standard for me. And so I was kind of blown away by how big that bike shop was. I don't think I've ever seen a bike shop that big. The amount of inventory they had was just absolutely insane. So we picked up some socks, then we headed over to Playtry Dallas to rent a couple of road bikes. Our boy Luma at Playtry was super awesome, very helpful, got us, on the right bikes, got us sized up and even put our pedals on. So we took our, the words escape me, speed plays. We took our speed plays, and the guys, mechanics that were there, threw them on the rental bikes for us. It was awesome. So shout out to Luma if you ever find yourself in Dallas and in need of any kind of, bike gear or a rental bike. He is phenomenal. You should check him out. But anyways, so we did a 10-ish mile loop around White Rock Lake, which was beautiful, so scenic. And I was kind of blown away by how much power that I felt I had after training at 4,400 feet and going down to maybe a few hundred feet. I felt so much stronger on the bike, which really came in handy because A, there was a super gnarly headwind and then crosswind for the majority of our ride, and B, the rental bike that I was on was significantly heavier than the bike that I have at home. So yeah, I was really happy that I felt stronger. My legs were good. It was a really great ride, but it does worry me because my power will be even that much more diminished going to Leadville, being at such a higher elevation than Salt Lake City. But I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. So when I got back home, one of my goals was to just start an endurance ride. One of you guys turned me on to the Level 100 training podcast by Fatty Nelson, and it has been really instrumental in trying to craft my training plan for the next several months. And one of the things that really resonated with me was Rebecca Rush said, "No junk miles," which is a phrase that I was unfamiliar with, but basically make every mile count. So she said in one of her training weeks, she does 2 interval rides and then an endurance ride, which is just a long and slow. So when I got back from Dallas, I really wanted to see how long I could spend in the saddle comfortably. So I hopped on the trainer and I just clicked, I made my own custom workout, and I tried to keep my efforts between 60 and 75% of my FTP, and I wanted to do that for about 2.5 hours, just to kind of get a litmus test of where I was at, because I figured the last week I was able to do about 1.5 hours of interval training, and so I thought, okay, well, just off of that, if I'm really not trying to put forth any massive effort, then maybe I can tack on another hour to just do a comfortable, long and slow, not any super hard exertion type of ride. So that was great. I'm really excited. I spent 2.5 hours on the bike. It was super boring. I watched a lot of Netflix, but I got through it. One of the things that did concern me though was I felt a considerable amount of pain towards the end of it. Not really sure if it was something to do with my bike fit, or maybe it's just the saddle that I have doesn't really agree with me. So that's something I'm gonna have to investigate in the next few weeks, because I cannot spend 5 hours on this bike feeling the way that I felt at the end of that 2.5 hour ride. So I don't know if any of you guys know anybody around Utah, or even in a state that's, in the surrounding area, that's good for a bike fit or can help me out with figuring out what's going on with my body and my bike. But if you do, feel free to let me know. I'll check them out, because your girl is desperate. So probably the most exciting piece of news from the past couple of weeks is that I have officially registered to ride in Leadville. I am so stoked, and honestly that was the biggest question mark in this whole process, was whether or not I was even going to be able to ride at Leadville, because it's a lottery-based system. So to have that question mark just answered is a huge relief, and honestly a big weight off of my shoulders. But one important thing to note is that I have registered to ride with a charity, and I chose the Lifetime Foundation. I think one of the things that people or cyclists don't really talk about is the fact that this sport is inherently selfish. You take time away from your friends and your family, and you go out and you ride a bike by yourself, or even with people, but it's still for you. So when I decided that I wanted to partner with an organization, I did that because I wanted to make an aspect of this whole process to not be about me. So the Lifetime Foundation, I was looking at their organization through the Leadville website, and I was really blown away by the work that they do. And so basically what they do is that they have partnered with, I think it's 35 public school districts, to provide healthy, nutritious, minimally processed school lunches. And the reason behind that is because, you've got some kids that are reliant on school meals to get all the food they're going to eat in a day. And so if they are going to school and they're getting these free lunches, but they're unhealthy, they're super processed, it's not really setting them up to lead a healthy lifestyle. And the other thing that they do is that they partner with community organizations to promote healthy, activities and exercise in kids. So how this works is I have agreed to fundraise $3,000 for the Lifetime Foundation, and in exchange I get to ride Leadville as a Lifetime Foundation athlete. Now, I didn't want it to seem like I was just getting a free pass to ride Leadville when so many people have signed up for the lottery year after year and haven't been able to get in. So when I decided that I was going to do this and go down this route, it really was because I wanted to advocate for this fantastic organization, but I also don't want to just skate by. So Matt and I decided that we would still pay the $475 race entry fee, but instead of paying it the way we normally would directly to the Leadville Race Series, we're donating it to the Lifetime Foundation as part of the fundraising effort. So I'll include more about the organization and a link to them down below in the description. And if you feel inclined to donate, great. I'm not counting on it. This is something that I agreed to do knowing that, you know, I'm gonna do it outside of the YouTube channel, but I'll include it in case, you know, you take a look and you feel like you wanna support them as well. Yeah, so I'm obviously not asking you to donate. That's not what I created this channel for. It's not what I intended it to be. If you feel inclined to do that, that's awesome, and I really appreciate it. And I'm sure the Lifetime Foundation does too. But again, it's not what this was designed for. I really just hope that you enjoy these videos and you get something out of it too. But again, all the information will be down in the description below. Another thing I was really focused on for the past couple of weeks was nutrition, and honestly, the comments both on YouTube and Instagram were so helpful because I have no idea what I'm doing. I eat like an animal. So you guys were great. You were telling me what to eat, how much to eat, when to eat it, and that was honestly life-saving. Thank you for that. One of the things that really stood out to me was the Crashing Dad commented, which honestly, shout out to that guy. He's so cool. I remember watching one of his videos like a year and a half ago when he was riding the Wasatch Crest Trail, and I was blown away by that whole thing, and it made me want to ride a mountain bike. So if you don't know who he is, you should check out his videos. I'll put his link down in the description too. They're just really rad. But one of the things he was saying, he was telling me or putting in the comments the types of foods. We weren't like chatting like buds. Anyway, he commented some of the foods that he eats on a ride, and some of them sounded so weird to me, not like anything that I had come across. So it really, you know, piqued my interest. I decided to do some more research, and I figured the best way for me to figure out what to eat on a ride, before a ride, after a ride, was just to find a cookbook for this stuff, because I am a very unimaginative cook. I make the same things over and over and over again, and they're probably not healthy. So because of that, I bought 2 cookbooks by the same guys. One is The Feed Zone. Ta-da! And the other is Feed Zone Portables. So this one is specific to food that you take on a ride. And they are both by Bijou Thomas, who I knew his name because I believe he works with The Vegan Cyclist. Also a cool channel. That guy's pretty rad. And also Alan Lim is a co-author of this, and he founded Scratch Labs, which is by far like, they just make great stuff. I am addicted to their recovery coffee mix. We talked about that before. It's an issue. It's gonna make me very sick one day. But anyways, those guys wrote these 2 books, and the cool thing about them is that they both include a lot of information about nutrition and the science behind why cyclists and endurance athletes eat what they do when they do it. So it's been really insightful, really helpful with helping me figure out how to change my nutrition habits and why I should, as well as providing me with pretty solid recipes that I can try over the next several months to figure out if I like them. We'll see. They sound pretty good. So I'll let you guys know how this goes. All right, so next week is just going to be focused on volume. I'm going to try to ride 5 days a week, which is way more than I've done previously. And also, Matt has decided to enter the lottery, so I will be maybe copying some of his answers on his training plan. He's going to come up with a training plan for the next several months just in case he gets in, and I'm sure I will be using that as a baseline to model my training plan and my nutrition plan. So that's coming up.